I stand before you, my student. As such, it would seem that it is your time.
I don't know, old man.
Why do you hesitate?
I've been making YouTube videos for like, 12, 13 years, and I feel like I've still got more to give, more content to make.
You know as well as I, a worthy candidate is near, one who will learn as you once did.
Okay, I'm ready to kill myself. Hello buddy and welcome, I'm Comodin Cam, and today we're going to be looking at one of the oldest Transformers, the creator of Optimus Prime, and one of the 13 original Primes, Alpha Trion.
Old, you say?
While Alpha Trion's design has remained fairly consistent throughout 40 years, he has had some various changes which is going to make this really interesting to look at.
But how would you know Alpha Trion?
An educated guess, Prime.
Without further ado, let's dive straight into the tier names, and for the best Alpha Trion design, we'll have a quote from Transformers 1.
Take their cogs and access your full potential. They were one. You are one. All are one.
And now for the second tier.
I do detect a strong spirit within him. I tell you what, I'm going to attempt to rebuild him entirely.
And now for the middle tier, where I kind of like it but then I don't at the same time.
Why do you hesitate? Join with the Allspark.
And now for the fourth tier, we'll have a quote from Transformers Animated.
What you did was reckless and in complete disregard for the rule of Autobot law.
And now finally, for the worst tier, it of course had to be...
And a new Prime will rise.
You go again. I don't want to listen to any more speeches.
Nothing you can do.
Oh, didn't I just say no speeches? You heard me, right?
First up is Generation 1 Alpha Trion. Now he's had various tweaks throughout the series when he was younger and older, but I'm going to unify him into one because it's the same design but with just a longer beard. He's also one of the few characters with no alt mode. Yeah, we never see him transform in the show, and by looking at his design, I'm curious to know what he could actually transform into. Give it about 40 years later and Hasbro finally gave us a Generation 1 Alpha Trion that could transform with the Legacy A Hero Was Born set. Yeah, he comes packaged with Orion packs and he's basically just a Scourge redeco. And to be honest, that alt mode, it works. You know, it's not the best. You know, I'm sure a lot of people weren't happy with that at first, but I mean, the dude looks like Alpha Trion. They captured it really, really well. Interestingly enough, this wasn't Hasbro's first attempt to do a Scourge redeco. In 2015 in the Japan Generations toy line, they were gonna do that, but for whatever reason, it was cancelled. If it doesn't work the first time around, give it like 7 or 8 years later and try again. This sweeper alt mode would also be featured in the Earth Wars game, pretty much identical to the toy. But I really do love this Generation 1 design. I think it's just a unique and really creative Cybertronian design. I like how the beard really integrates with his chest. The spikes on his shoulders has always been a cool feature. And that cape, it's just so badass. I love the purple. In the IDW comics, they didn't really change that much from the original Generation 1 design, but just made it look 10 times cooler. In the Ironhide comic book, they did something a little bit different with him. They gave him a sweet mask veil thing. He looks like, I don't know, like a character from Dark Souls or something, some sort of ancient fortune teller or something like that. Like he's been out in the desert, he's been traveling quite a bit. I don't know what other way to describe it, it just looks so cool. Now it's either with this design or the previous one, they did give him an alt mode. Now this is just a sketch, this was in the Ironhide comic, but in the Legends card game this would be fully realised and we can see his alt mode there, and I gotta say, I do like this one better than the Legacy. Just because it's unique and different and not a complete Scourge sweep ripoff. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself by saying cool a lot, but I gotta say, it definitely applies to the Transformers animated design. This is so sweet looking. I love how massive that cape is on the back. Derek just took the G1 design, added in his art style, and gave us this really, really good design. I don't know what he transforms into. That's the one thing I wish we got, was an alt mode. Judging by his legs though, looking very similar to Blur, I can imagine he'd transform into something similar. I hope to see someone attempt to give him an alt mode someday in the future. If there is one out there, just tweet me at it on Twitter.
If it was up to me alone, you'd never get that chance.
Now, while Alpha Trion's vehicle mode has always been up for interpretation, we'll talk about the first ever toy, which is part of the Timelines. This was in 2007, and it's basically a retool of the Cybertron Voyager class Vector Prime. And if you had to retool something, it would be the Vector Prime toy. I mean, it just fits so well with Alpha Trion. Considering they share the same features, the only thing I would have loved is a longer beard. I wish they just made that beard on Alpha Trion just a little bit longer. But everything else works, the colours blend in so well with each other. But give it like a decade later, and finally Hasbro gave us an Alpha Trion toy in the Titans Return Prime Wars trilogy. And this is like a Frankenstein's monster. So this toy was repurposed as a body for Shattered Glass Alpha Trion, then it would be retooled into a Legends Leo Prime, and extensively retooled into a Titans Return Broadside and Tidal Wave. This guy is just a mix of other Transformers, and I gotta admit, I never expected a lion for Alpha Trion, nor did I expect that flat spaceship. But this wasn't the first attempt to make Alpha Trion a lion. In the Beast Machines toy line, the Deluxe Class Snarl, they were going to redeco that into Alpha Trion, and that's where the colours come from. Well, yeah, they are the Alpha Trion colours in general, but there's a much more darker tone, much more darker purple than before. But going back to Titans Return, you asked for an Alpha Trion toy, and Hasbro gave you the complete opposite of what you probably wanted. I mean, it's fine if you like the triple changing aspect, but I am not a big fan of the Titans Return toy line in general, but I gotta say, this is one of the best out of the lot. Not so good though is the Legends Alpha Trion. Yeah, dude's seen better days. But hey, at least the Creo Alpha Trions are on point. For the most part. The head is just Age of Extinction Galvatron. Okay, now let's talk about Transformers Cyberverse Alpha Trion, and this is basically Generation 1 on steroids. He has been beefing up, he has been in the gym, hitting it hard, and this is the outcome. I mean, just look at it. It's so cool. I like the art style of Cyberverse, and I liked his appearance in the show as well. And yeah, this is just... wow, it gives me animated vibes, you know, it's like the buffer version of the Transformers animated. Like I said, it's like it's been hitting the gym, and I like everything about this. A good modern revision of that G1 design, just amplified with those insane proportions. Now moving on to the aligned continuity, we have two versions. We have the Covenant of Primus, which is basically a good modern revision in the Prime style of that original G1 Alpha Trion. And I like this. I've always liked this art style, I've always liked this pose that we always see in the book, and it just looks really cool and really nice. The all purple is a bit too much. I would have liked a little bit more of a red and sort of blue mixed in there, instead of this all purple look that we've got going off here. But when it comes to Transformers Prime, it's all blue. But these aren't his actual colours. This is just this ghostly-like figure when he was coming to Optimus Prime, wanting him to join the Allspark when he thought his time was up. And one thing I've noticed about this Alpha Trion design is that it's very similar to Smokescreen. And of course we know Smokescreen and Alpha Trion had somewhat of a good friendship towards the end of the war, that he left Smokescreen in charge with a lot of stuff, and I find it all but interesting that they have similar design proportions, like very similar in shape, like the legs for example, you can see it there, and the chest as well. I got a feeling that they just did this to save time for assets reasons, but regardless, I feel like there was a slight intention to sort of connect the two together. Maybe a father and son kind of situation. That's not obviously canon, but it does make you wonder. Also, George Takei voicing Alpha Trion was an absolute treat. An interesting treat is the Angry Birds Alpha Trion. Yeah, I mean, out of all of the Angry Birds designs, this one is actually spot on, really. When it comes to the proportions, the face is not that too jarring, to be honest. I know I've been much kinder in later years to the Angry Birds designs, but this one is actually just hilarious. It's G1 Alpha Trion, but with a bird, but it's not that far-fetched. I don't know why. It's Yeah, okay. I do detect a strong spark within him.
The council will deliberate.
What's to deliberate?
Next up is for Netflix's War for Cybertron trilogy Alpha Trion. Once again, we never actually saw him transform in the show itself, but I gotta admit, they did do right with his design here. It calls back to the Vector Prime redeco and then also the Covenant of Primus. Like, I like that circly chest in the middle. I really want more Alpha Trions to have that feature. I just think it looks really sweet. Now, this isn't confirmed nor official in any slight way. This is more speculation based. It's more like well, maybe not. We don't really know what the full intention here is, but in the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen movie, one of the primes looks very similar to Alpha Trion, ever so slightly. I can see it, but whether or not this is actually Alpha Trion, we don't know. This could very well just be another concept variant of the Fallen, but still, regardless, around that period Hasbro was working on their aligned continuity, but when it comes to the Revenge of the Fallen movie, none of the 13 primes were named except for the Fallen and Primer. They are the only known members, so Hasbro hadn't really set up the names of the 13 yet, so this is more like, I don't know, maybe, but regardless, what they did was reckless, because I would have loved to have had an Alpha Trion in that movie. And now finally, we have the Transformers 1 Alpha Trion. Yeah, I gotta admit, they really went all out. Out of all of the other characters that are somewhat similar to their original Generation 1 designs, the resemblance is there, but he is the most eccentric one out of them all. And I think it really works. Like, they are blended in past lore with the whole lion aspect, and they've made him this badass looking My Little Pony, you know. I really like that with Alpha Trion. They've taken a lot of creative liberties. It works. I like it. I like the purple and white. I do kind of wish there was a little bit more red in there, but whether or not that would work so well with this design, I don't know. But when we meet him in the film, he's very corroded. He's been dormant for some time. But at least in the film, he had his big action moment, taking out all of those Sentinel Prime trackers. So yeah, I like this. Having Lawrence Fishburne voice Alpha Trion, that is perfect casting right there. He may be old, but he can still kick some ass.
Not too old for you.
Now let's talk about some fan art, because I want to show off some of the great fan art out there. And first up is Someone to Draw, and I really like this design because it reminds me of Transtech. Like, I can imagine this in the Transtech universe. I like the entire outfit. It looks really, really cool. A very unique design, but you can still picture it as Alpha Trion. I like how thin his limbs are, but then how wide he is at the bottom. Really cool, really nice. But I also love Photomus's Prime's Alpha Trion. Very much like that Covenant of Primus one, but a lot more sleeker, a lot more slender. Obviously the cape has been gone, but I think it really, really works. Really sweet looking design. I just love the art style as well. A good animated interpretation is from R. Brumera. I like the giant ass sword that they've got going off here. And I like the nice touch of adding all of the colours that they've used. I like that, just kind of showing to everybody their process and how they make that. And I wish we could see more clearly the alt mode. You can see that little bit of a sketch there. I hope you get to finish that, because that looks like a really interesting alt mode. And I like what Nerdicon has done with G1 Alpha Trion. We never had any official artwork of him, so just having him in this style and pose, it just captures that G1 design so well, and I just love this artist's style. Another style that I really, really like is by Robot Fangirl 67, also known as Jetta Trioner 678 on Twitter. I really like this style. It's like a combination of G1 and Transformers animated, and I like how the cape kind of looks like wings. I like how they're folded down like that. Yeah, really cool style, and I like the different expressions you've added as well, even a side view. Yeah, I always love it when artists include expressions. Next up, we have a very interesting one by Callahan Nikolai, and this is the Lord of Iacon and Master of the Archives, wielder of the flame and secretly bearing a lion alt mode. He wields a terrible Mazumane in battle, and only when absolutely necessary, he'd sooner win through diplomacy. The do not test is Aya. I really like this design. I love how big and chunky Alpha Trion is here. A definitely different design from what we're used to, but that giant ass sword is so cool as well. He is terrifying. Yeah, you definitely don't want to mess with this Alpha Trion, because he turns into a big cat. And keeping in tune with the different types of Alpha Trion, we have Anti-100 here, who has taken the Autobot insignia and given it his face. So it seems that in this origin, that Alpha Trion's face is the inspiration for the Autobot insignia, and I like that. And this is a very different Alpha Trion, just like I mentioned with Jacob Blackmon's. This one is nothing we've ever seen before, and I like that. I like that different approach. There's nothing similar at all to the past, except probably his knowledge and wisdom, so I like that. I like this as a design, and I like how you've included or incorporated the Autobot insignia. Moving on, we have Mosquito King 12, who basically takes the Covenant of Primus Alpha Trion and makes him look a lot more youthful, a lot more younger. I like the solid shape in here, and the colours really stick out, really pop. And I like the background that you've added as well. It just fits so well. And his heels, I like that this dude has got some heels going off here. And All Different has done a really good Alpha Trion design as well. I love that this Alpha Trion is so sharp all over, like if you touch him you're probably going to cut yourself. That sword is really, really cool as well. I like the pink tip, or the reddish pink tip at the bottom. Yeah, so this is a really cool art style. I've been following this artist for quite a while, and I just love their unique style. Like, I'm so drawn to that beard. Like, that beard is sharp. If you touch that, you're probably going to get cut. So if you're asleep and you hear an owl, it's probably Beast Mode Alpha Trion. So SS Grid has given us an owl Alpha Trion, specifically an old owl, and this is something I would have never ever imagined, but it works. I actually really like this. This is what I would suspect Alpha Trion as a maximal, just kind of there, high in a tree, just watching over everything, gaining all this wisdom and all that kind of stuff. To say that he's such a tiny owl, he has got such a big blocky design, and I really like it. The colours contrast so well with each other. Moving on to some more great designs, we'll start off with Primal 80124. I like that they've taken the Transformers 1 style and just applied it and gave it brand new proportions. I like the cape all the way down at the bottom, and the fact that this dude has a whip as well for his tail is really, really cool, and that face design is really neat as well. And I like that the chest is asymmetrical, like it's not the same. I like that there's different varieties on each side of his chest. Moving on to another great art piece by T-Blaze 1907. He has got some sharp elbows right there. Watch out, because he is going to stab you with those. I like that his axe is so massive as well. This is a very warrior-esque Alpha Trion. Like, this dude means business. He's probably going to slay you on the battlefield. And I like that you can subtly see the Autobot insignia on his chest. Moving on to some more great artwork, we've got Romain Revert, and this is a very Transformers 1 inspired. I believe they made this around the time the leaks of Transformers 1 was coming out. It definitely fits in the style of Transformers 1, so you could sort of see this as an alternative version of Alpha Trion if you want it to look more traditionally like the G1 or Covenant of Primus one. But regardless, I like the colour on this. I think this is a really good 3D model. I really do like this a lot. I also like the completely different approach that Zoldus has done with this Alpha Trion. It gives me Splinter vibes from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I think it really looks nice. I like the different style he's talking. I like how sharp he still looks all around. Another really good, interesting interpretation of a character. And now for our final fan art designs, we've got a great one here by Granatu888, and I love the art style of this. I like that the cape is just all over the body, looks really, really nice, and the shoulders as well. It really does unify all the previous Alpha Trions into one. I can see animated, the Covenant of Primus, the Titan's Return, all that kind of stuff, and it just really looks nice. I just love this art style so much. And now for our final fan art design by Compacula. You really managed to make Alpha Trion look really adorable with a love heart in the center of the chest. This is a very good, cute Alpha Trion, I gotta say. His beard as well is just so well drawn. I like everything about his face design, looks really nice. And how sharp he is on the shoulders. A really, really sweet design. I love how bright all of the colors are. And the way how his name is spelled is just a really nice touch. Because I love all of these fan art designs, they all belong in the highest tier. The official ones are 1, the fan arts are 1, all are 1. And there we have it, guys, every Alpha Trion design ranked from worst to best. If I had to pick my all-time favourite design, it would probably be the Covenant of Primus one. I do wish there was more blue on this design, but still, regardless, I really like this. This is always my definitive version of Alpha Trion. But as always, like I just said, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And that's it. I'm not quite sure which character I'm going to be covering next. I think I might do updates on Ironhide and Ratchet, but we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, share me your thoughts in the comment section below. Give me some suggestions for the future. To keep updated on that, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get all updates instantly. As mentioned before guys, I've got a lot of content planned for 2025. So much in store, a lot of series I'm going to be bringing back and reviving, a lot of great videos. I can't wait for you to all see it, and yeah, until the next video guys, I've been Comodin Cam, and goodbye.